How's it going, YouTube? Welcome back to Garden Scale Crucibles. Thanks for dropping by my little corner of the internet here and the model railroad hobby. This is a track set I came across while putzing around a hobby shop a few months ago. Decided to finally get around and make a video about it. This is the V17 concrete slab double track set, which, at least according to the packaging, is a brand new style of N-gauge Unitrack from Kato. And quite honestly, this is, it looks to be a nice departure from the typical track you see from Kato. And here is what is the main crux of everything right here. There's the styrofoam tray with everything you normally get in a Kato track pack. But here are some essential measurements on the back of this track pack. And you can see you get about just under 5 feet long, as it were, and then just under 3 feet wide with this Variation 17 layout. And then, of course, because it's Kato Unitrack, it is compatible with all of Kato's track packs and options. So let's get into some of these track pieces just for the fun of it. Oh, one more thing before I do that. It also came with this neat book, unfortunately entirely in Japanese, but it has a number of notes and nuggets about Kato Unitrack, what to do, what not to do, along with essentially a sales flyer of all the different V packs that are available, at least as of the publication of this booklet, and then also a really quite nice assortment of track layout options. You can see here for some of these layouts what track packs you need to make those happen. And quite honestly, some of these are really neat looking layouts depending on how much space you have to work with, whether you're setting up a permanent layout or temporary when you have time to play with your trains, as it were. A lot of really cool diagrams in here, again, all in Japanese, unfortunately. But then again, beggars cannot be choosers. But because the publishers, the writers of this booklet, were kind enough to include pictograms, should be pretty easy to figure out what's going on. So there's that booklet that comes with it. And then here's one of the curved pieces. See if the camera will focus here. Come on. Let's help it along. Or try to, anyway. It's not quite working. Hopefully you can see. This is kind of a cross-section look at the track pieces. And yeah, it's more or less what you need in terms of the cross-section to make sure it'll mate up with any other piece of Kato Unitrack. Same thing with the straight. So this should mate up nicely with any other Kato Unitrack, which of course you'd expect because it's Kato, and Kato makes some of the best track for model railroading, at least especially in N scale anyway. But look at this setup here, get the power supply hooked up, and then we'll look at some mixed track options and see what we get. All right, as I'm finishing getting this loop set up of exclusively this V17 track pack, one thing I thought was amiss is that when I was looking here in the straight section, I was wondering where the power connector track piece was. It turns out, in order to make everything fit this package size, this smaller package size, the brilliant Japanese engineers decided to put the two short pieces that would have the track power connectors here under the curve pieces. So if you're opening up this pack and you're wondering where are my power pieces, well, the permanent half length straightaway will be under the straight, and then the quarter length straightaways with the power connection. These will be under here. And I probably should have realized what to expect looking at these markings here, but didn't quite grasp that significance because I never pay attention to any of these numbers, but they will helpfully guide you along the way to finding the track pieces that you need. All right, got the loop set up here. I wish it was in a nicer spot, but unfortunately beggars cannot be choosers, and this was the best available patch of floor or any really hard surface I had available to work with today, so, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, been cheating a little bit here, making sure this was actually going to work, so I ran my Metra set here, my F40 PH, and the Metra Pullman cars that Kato released a couple of years ago, which are my favorite Metra cars to run. And obviously you can see here no problems. Power track's working, everything's lighting up like it's supposed to. But what surprised me, honestly, about this track set is once I got it all set up and I started doing the test loops to make sure that there weren't going to be any issues, I was surprised at how quiet the track set is itself. No real harsh clicking or clacking noises between the track joins, where you can get that sometimes with different sets of Kato track or even just track in general. But very nicely limited miscellaneous track noise. You just get the nice, I don't know what to call it, whoosh, slice, hiss, hum, choose your own adventure there, I guess, of the train just running the rails, nice and easy. But next up, just for funsies, we'll see about annoying the rivet counters here, and we'll get another engine on the outside loop, because why not? Two trains running nice and smooth on this layout, ersatz and temporary as it is. One thing of note with this track pack is there is no designated re-railer piece. So if you have wheels that decide they want to hop off, whether they're Kato wheels or micro trains or Athearn or whoever, there is no re-railer piece included. It's just hope you catch it before the whole thing tips over, so to speak. But the track pack is really nice. Now it seems Kato has geared this towards urban designs, urban layouts, you know, simulating or modeling subway trains, or maybe tying in with elevated track, because the track cross section is very similar to Kato's viaduct set, elevated viaduct. So it would tie in very nicely with that track cross section. But the next real question for this layout or this track is, how does this track look and work with the more traditional railbed track that Kato makes the most of? Let's look at that. So here are the two straightaways, concrete on the bottom and the traditional track bed with the concrete ties on the top. You can see they're the exact same dimensions in terms of their length and the track spacing. So as expected, there should be no real problem attempting to get these two pieces, two styles of track to work together. So now we'll get this piece slotted in here and we'll see how it looks. So no real surprise. The track snapped together, no problem. No real difference in the track heights in terms of where the rails are actually sitting on the pieces. And aside from a difference in the style of the roadbed, as it were, the width of the track pieces are the same. Track spacing, as expected, is the same. And there's even a fairly, well, smooth-ish transition between the middle of the concrete bed to the rock bed. And you definitely will feel a difference right there. And then of course you've got the difference in texture right here. You have this smooth angled drop off there, and then you got this step style fall off from the concrete. But now let's see how the trains like it. And also, as expected, both trains didn't really have any issue running over the different style of track bed, which would have been a surprise if there had been any issue, because it is Kato Unitrack, made by the same folks essentially, so it should not have even been a thought that it could have been a problem. But it's one of those things best tested before you commit to attaching track to a permanent layout and going along from there. So for my final thoughts, I decided to swap out my Southern Pacific GS4 for this Rock Island E8 Kobo Custom from Kato. Beautiful locomotive I don't get to run nearly as often as I would like. And I hope at some point Kato comes out with a matching passenger set, because that would be just superb to run with that locomotive. But anyway, final thoughts. No surprises in terms of the quality and functionality of this V17 pack. But it definitely is geared towards more urban, possibly even science fiction layout. Perhaps not what the typical modeler is going to be looking for to do with most of their modeling, because most, in my, shall we say, limited experience, most of the layouts that I've seen that are permanently set up they tend to be more small town, village, out in the wilds themed, or more industrially based, which would gear more towards the more traditional rock bed track style, which you see, of course, here in that section of straight, while the concrete definitely is geared towards very much urban cityscape track modeling and railroad modeling. But because it's Kato Unitrack, you can definitely mix and match and create a hybrid scene for your layout with these two track pieces. Or if you want to go hog wild, obviously, you could use the concrete track bed to be a feature, or to enable you to feature sort of a quote-unquote throwback trains in a more futuristic layout. With model railroading, the sky really is the limit, and the only limit really is your imagination and how far you want to take your hobby adventures. For my part, this is a really valuable addition to my limited track collection, because at some point in the future I do want to establish a more permanent layout that I can just set trains on and get them going, let them run. And I do have ideas where I'd like to have a variety of themes available on that layout to have a different experience, every couple of feet perhaps, whether it's, like a 4x8 layout or a 6x12, or however crazy I want to get. I want to have different flavors, different scenes, different experiences, and having different style of track bed is really going to go a long way towards enabling that, instead of being limited to the traditional rock bed style track. Having the concrete will let me really explore other themes in unique ways, which I'm really glad about. So Kato really did a nice job with this track pack. I'm glad they released it. Hopefully at some point they see fit to include an English book with it. But even if they don't, it's not like it's going to be a huge deal for us to get what they're trying to say just through the pictograms alone. So yeah, it's just more Kato quality, which is really good. A couple of notes though is that I didn't realize it when I was putting this together. I did have one piece of track miss a line. It was my fault, not the track's problem. I just didn't catch this. So I had the outer line, had a rail that wasn't into one of the joiners properly. But other than that, once I got that problem fixed, you know, no troubles whatsoever, which is really good. So it's just more Kato quality across the board. And with that being said, my friends, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great holiday season. We just cleared Thanksgiving, and now it's on towards Christmas. And I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.